Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. This is a celebration of the life of none other than Garnett Reid. You may know him as Docs, you may know him as the captain, you may know him as Reedy. Whatever you call him, he has made an indelible impression on all of our lives. And what I wanted to do is just take a few moments to reflect on the good things, the good memories that Mr. Garnett Reid has given to all of us. And I'm going to do this a bit extemporaneously. I don't have any formal speech. And even though I'm dressed up out of respect for him, there's no script, there's no teleprompter. You may have known about the Democratic Convention and the Republican Convention, but this is the Garnett Reid Convention. What I want to do today is we're going to take some time to look over the various well wishes and compliments and various nice things that friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, acquaintances, colleagues have said about Mr. Garnett Reid, and hopefully we have a good time today. Now, I'm not into the funeral business. There's something about the West Indian culture where you only see certain people when it's funeral time, when somebody dead. I'm not into that business. And many of you know that I'm not into that. I'm not into the formalities. I'm not even into the birthday party business. I'm a Jehovah Witness in some ways, in the sense that I don't really care about birthdays. And to me, today is more than a birthday. Today is a milestone. From I was a little boy, I wonder when we would reach that point in the history of time where a person has reached that age where you can just take a moment, take a stock, as they would say in Jamaica, to just take a look at somebody's life and evaluate them and just show them how much you really, really appreciate them. And I'm a big believer in doing things for people while they are alive, not after they're dead, while they are alive. And I must say that the past years, they have flown by so fast. I remember from I was a baby, I remember the days of my childhood in Jamaica where I would constantly contemplate about what is my adulthood going to look like? What is life in America going to look like? As a matter of fact, when I was younger, I didn't even imagine that I would be transitioning from Jamaica into America. I thought that my entire life would be right there on the island. But things change, times change, and life throws a whole bunch of curveballs your way. And in every step of the way, I must say that whether I was living in Jamaica or I was living in New York or I was living in Florida, wherever I was, my father has always been there for me. But I'm going to um, I'm going to spend some time today where we're going to look at a website that I put together for my dad, and there's still opportunity for those of you who are joining us for you to contribute to that website. It is bit.ly.com/GarnettRead 2020. As long as the internet exists, that website will always be there. And any well-wishers of Garnett Reid, you have that opportunity to just simply go to that website, bit.ly.com/GarnettRead 2020, and you can take a few minutes, even a few seconds, just to drop some nice words to him. Now, let me guys give you my life story, because it's only from giving you my life story that I'm able to illustrate how much my dad means to me. I was born a couple of years before Hurricane Gilbert, and I I was born with what a lot of people call a photographic memory. And I have reason to believe that I inherited that from my father. My father is the sharpest man you'll ever meet. He is intellectually quick. He is sharp as a knife. And whereas there's people half of his age don't have memory as good as he is, as he does, You can talk to my father about anything, whether it's in the 21st century, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s. I'm telling you, my dad can engage you in conversation because his mind is that sharp. I went to Watsonton Primary School, and my father grew me up very, very sheltered. He has always been a very, very overprotective person. And my father would tell you that I don't particularly like that. And we've gotten into a lot of arguments about that over the years. But I am mature enough and wise enough to understand that the reason my father treated me like that as a boy growing up is because of his love for me. And I understand that. There are a lot of men out there that they're not there for their kids. And if there's anything I could say about my dad is that he's there too much, if anything. He's always there involved in my life, whether or not we are living under the same roof. Um, Growing up, I've gone back and forth between my father and my mother, but whether I've lived with him or I live with my mother or I live alone, whatever the case may be, my father is always there. Now, as a young person growing up in Jamaica, I went to Washington Primary. My father was a teacher at Bustamante Secondary School, which is right across from Washington Primary. And he would always come over to Washington Primary to check on me. He built my own desk for my classrooms in first and second and third grade. He would always come over and check on me during lunchtime. He would always check up how I'm doing academically with my teachers. He would always make sure that I do my homework. He was a very, very, very involved parent. And that type of involvement in the lives of children, that is the kind of involvement that I would love to see from mothers and fathers alike. My dad, he's always been there for me to make sure that I do my schoolwork and to make sure that I academically prosper. Uh, there's no moment in my life where I can ever say that my dad was not there for me. When I was a student in elementary school going to PS268, my father used to work in the nighttime right there on Utica Avenue. He used to do the night shift, and he still would wake up in the morning time to walk me to school down Linden Boulevard, down 53rd Street to make sure that I knew my way to get to school and that I was safe and sound. And he would also interrupt his own sleep to pick me up from school and walk me back as well. That's the kind of man my dad is. I lived in Brooklyn for a couple of years and my dad missed me so much. He called my mother one day and he said to me, Nazir, would you like to come live with me in Florida? And I said, yes. And I ended up leaving my mother and I went back to my dad and I was in Florida where I did 6th, 7th, and 8th grade right there in Nickel Middle. And I didn't really appreciate this much at the time, but as I became a grown man, I understood and I got to appreciate what a hard worker my father is. My dad has done so many odd jobs. My dad has done so many different types of work that other people may consider beneath them, but not my dad. My dad has never, ever complained. My father to me is the embodiment of the American dream. An immigrant who came from nothing, came to America, took every opportunity that was given to him, never complained a day in his life, and he was able to build for himself a solid foundation, and he was able to build for me an even more solid foundation. There are a lot of things that I have today that I would not have were it not for my father, Garnett Reid. So I just wanted to take this time to let him know that I appreciate everything. And if, regardless of all the times we may have argued or all the times we may have gotten into some sort of conflict with each other or all the times I may not show it, I love you, Dad, and I am extremely, extremely, eternally grateful for everything that you have done for me. And you know, my father, the older my dad gets, the more chill he gets. I have not seen my dad lose his temper in many, many years. As a little kid, I used to be scared of my dad because you know how it is to have that West Indian parent, that Jamaican parent, or if you misbehave, or, you know, you do something wrong, you know, they get the belts, right? They get the slippers, right? And I had that mentality like a lot of other Jamaicans and a lot of other West Indians, where I respected my parents, and I respected the authority that they had. And if my father said to go, I went. If he said to come, I came. Um, but my dad was always a very strong father figure. He's a manly man, a masculine man, a hardworking man, a man who doesn't complain, a man who provides for his family. And um, I'm telling you, Dad, I tell my friends and my coworkers all the time, if I can attain half of what you have attained in my life, I would consider that an accomplishment. Um, I ended up leaving Florida after I finished McNichol Middle School, and I came to Brooklyn. And I remember the summer of 2000, that was one of the most difficult times in my life, because I was in a dilemma. Do I want to live in Brooklyn with my mother and do high school here, Wingate High School, or do I want to go back to Florida, continue living with my dad and my step family at the time, and go to Hollandale High School? It was a very, very difficult decision for me. Ultimately, I decided to stay in New York. And as I stayed in New York, I still would visit my dad every summer or during holiday breaks. And that's the type of back and forth I've had with my dad over the years as I've gotten older. But now, as a grown up, I have my own career. I'm here in Queens, New York. I have my own place. And I constantly have to reflect and look back and just appreciate all the goodness, all the great things that my dad has done for me to set my career in place, to set my education in place. He helped me through college. He helped me to get my dream car that I have today. He helped me in many, many times where I found myself in predicaments and situations that I didn't think I could get out of by myself. He was always there for me. And I'm telling you, it is not possible to articulate and elaborate on all of the countless plethoric number of things that he has done for me. But if he does not remember anything else, and if he overlooks anything else, I just want him to know that, Dad, I love you a lot, and I owe all that I have to you. You are a great dad, and I aspire someday to be a dad like you. But enough about me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the website that I put together for my dad. You can visit it at bit.ly.com/GarnettReid2020. And what I did is I spent the past several months, and my dad does not know this, but I spent the past several months, I went into his phone, I went into his email, I went into his notes, and I tried to get a hold of all the people in his life, all the people in St. Mary, Jamaica, Clarendon, Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica, all the people in Florida, South Florida, Middle Florida, North Florida, all the people in New York, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Brooklyn, the Bronx. I even went to Canada, went through Facebook, went through social media. I used all sorts of mechanisms to try to get a hold of the network that my dad has, to try to kind of bring them all together and give them an opportunity to share their thoughts, their well wishes, their compliments with Mr. Reid. Now, unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic that began back in March of this year, the get together that I was planning did not turn out the way that I wanted it to. Many of us are quarantining. Many of us, we are stuck in our homes, stuck in our apartments. Many of us, we can't travel. I was thinking, do I do a get together in Florida? Do I do it in New York? Do I do it in Jamaica? But I figure, let me try to do this in the easiest possible way and put a kudo board together and allow various people to use that platform to share their well wishes. So I'm going to turn the camera over to the Garnett Reid website, and we're going to take a stroll through memory lane, and hopefully we can have some fun doing this. All right, give me a few moments. And hopefully what you guys are seeing in front of your screen right now is the, the Kudo board website. And we're gonna go through some pictures and some contributions that his friends and family have for him. All right, so by the way, you notice that I take a lot of pictures with my Camaro, which is my dream car. It was my father that helped me to get this car. And here he is. This is actually outside of my house in Queens. And you'll notice that my dad is wearing his trademark captain hat. A lot of his friends call him the captain. All right, this is from Anne-Marie Francis of Ear, Jamaica. There's so much to say about you, Mr. Reid, AKA Reedy. You're the most genuine, caring man I have ever known. And this is Garnett Reid, very, very great picture. This is outside Niagara Falls. We took a nice road trip all the way upstate, and the morning started off kind of rough, but Dad, you remember the memories that we had that day? My dad rented a Cadillac SUV. We took an 8-hour drive upstate, and I was speeding. I was going 95 miles per hour in a 60-mile-per-hour zone. A cop pulled us over, gave us a hard time, but thank goodness I was able to negotiate something with the courts, and I ended up not getting any points. But Dad, we had such a great, great time out here. And we took a walk over the bridge into Canada as well. And the security folks that stood in the borderline between New York and Canada, they didn't give us a hard time at all. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because we looked important, but we just walked over to Canada. We took lots of pictures there. We had such a great time. It was my first time in Canada, and that was just such a great time we had, Dad. Thanks for that. And this is a picture of my dad when he was in his 20s. My father spent 21 years as a teacher. I myself became a teacher. That was my first professional job after I graduated from Brooklyn College. Like father, like son, I spent several years in teaching. I'm not a classroom teacher anymore, but I do work with the education department, and I'm very much involved in that industry. My father did everything from welding to metal shop to engineering to drafting. He was a jack of all trades, a master of many as well. This comes from Delilah Smith, AKA Ramdeal, your cousin, Dad. In our younger days, you always visited the family in Banks where I spent a lot of time. Maybe you'll remember that we used to do the Indian dance at Uncle John's. I see you are still dancing. I watch the videos over and over as I still enjoy the music, though I don't really know what is being said. Cuz you look fit, so keep dancing. Garnett, you're very pleasant and down to earth, always laughing and cheering up everyone. Only one of Uncle Roydell's that I knew well from long ago. Wishing you a very happy birthday, and may the Lord's blessing continue to shower you. Hugs, cuz. And if you know my dad, you know my dad loves to dance. And that's one thing where I'm very, very different from my dad. I don't care about dancing. I don't like to dance. That's not something I do. But my father, you play the music, he will be there dancing. He's the life of the party. There's all sorts of videos you can find him. You can find with him online where he's in these Indian dancing competitions. And fun fact for those of you who don't know, I myself actually used to do the Indian dances when I was a kid. I kind of grew out of that stuff, but my dad used to spend a lot of time after school teaching me how to dance. This comes from Michelle Brown, who was my 4th grade teacher at PS 268. I met Garnett Reid through Gavaska. His son Gavaska was one of my students in elementary school. Garnett Reid was a concerned and devoted father, wanting only the best for his young, shy son who had just arrived to America. Garnett Reid instilled a positive work ethic and determination that is evident in Gavaska today. It is with great pleasure that I extend happy birthday wishes to such a wonderful and devoted father. Thank you so much, Miss Brown. And I actually still have the report cards from Miss Brown when I first came to America. Right now, if you know me, I'm very outspoken. I'm very bold. I love public speeches. I make a lot of noise in real life and on social media. But when I first came to America, I was very, very shy. Miss Brown used to tell me that I need to speak up more. And look how things have changed, Miss Brown. Thank you so much for your contributions. Next up, this is from Melissa Johnson, who was one of our neighbors in Hollywood, Florida. Be happy. You are brought into this world to be a blessing and inspiration to the people around you. You are a wonderful person, and may you be given more birthdays to fulfill all of your dreams. It was a blessing to have met you. Thank you so much for that, Melissa. I met Melissa through my brother Wazim and through my other friend Johnny. And we used to live on, where was that? 59 Terrace in Florida. Those were the good old days. And this is a picture of my dad. He truly is Superman. A lot of you may know me as Superman. I'm always busting open my shirt, showing the S on my chest, but the original Superman is my dad. Losing my voice already. But took a snapshot of this picture of my dad reading his Bible. Dad, this is one of my favorite pictures of you. And I hope that you would continue to stay in the Word of God. And I hope that you would give your life over to Him. Next up, we have a picture of my dad with one of the prime ministers, Portia Simpson. My dad, during his time working with the Fort Lauderdale airport, and he's still with the airport, and throughout his time at the airport, my dad has seen so many dignitaries from Jamaica and from the world over. And this is just one of many pictures wherein he's been of good service to those around him. My dad has been recognized for his excellent customer service, and he treats dignitaries as well as the common man, the common woman alike. Papa Reid, you bring the life to work. Happy birthday to you, and wishing you another year full of happiness and joy. And that is from Garnett Rawake. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. AKA Denise from Fort Lauderdale Airport. And Dad, she also sent you a video message as well. Hopefully you got that. I love the way you enjoy your culture and your family. You try to link family together. Love you, cuz. And that is from our cousin Delroy Reid. This comes from Alicia Brown. I pray you have a very happy birthday filled with health, wealth, and joy, and see many more birthdays. Thank you so much for that, Alicia. Next up, we have Danielle Dawn Trent, who is a friend of our family. I met her through Auntie Del. I met you through your sister, who's married to my half brother. You were very nice to me. I was just a kid, but you treated me nicely and seemed to be a great brother to Del. Thank you for that, Danielle. This right here is a very famous picture that me and my dad and my mother took in 1992 in Botanical Gardens. And Dad, what exactly happened to that picture? We used to have a big calendar with this picture on it, and we used to proudly display it in our house in Jamaica. And I'm telling you, me and my mother and my dad, we used to just explore all parts of New York City together. And I just used to have I used to have very, very wonderful summers and wonderful winters. And every time my dad would travel with me to America. This is a picture of my dad with his 4 sisters, Winsome, Bev, Del, and Angie. And as you can see, my dad used to wear the big afro. And this is my dad in his airport operations car. You cannot travel throughout Fort Lauderdale Airport without crossing paths with my dad. He's the loudest man you'll ever meet. He's the fastest talker. He's the fastest walker. And if you go to Fort Lauderdale Airport, look out for him. This comes from Lane Mitchell, one of my dad's friends. You are a honest, trustworthy, honest, and humble person. Wow, she said honest 2 times. You always go the extra mile to help someone, even when you are busy at work. Thank you for the help you have given me over the years, and may God continue to pour out many more blessings on you. Thank you for that, Lean. Next up, we have Nadine Singh, another member of our family. You are a very nice person and always willing to help anyone. Next up, we have Angela Madden from Ear, Jamaica, who says, Mr. Reid is a very vibrant, helpful, caring person with a non-stop on-the-go personality. If you have a problem or a question about the airport or a flight or anything, he has the answer and happy to help you. He would go out of his way to make sure you are pointed in the right direction. Reid, as we all call him, would be heard before you see him. He always made me smile. He is an all-time good guy. As we say in Jamaica, him no bad mind. A loud, compassionate, wonderful Jamaican ambassador, a man I am proud to call my friend. And Sophie would say the same. Love and blessings. Thank you so much for that, Angela Madden. My father has also been featured in a number of newspapers because of his work ethic, because of his commitment to community service, and because of the many, many people that he's helped throughout his life. Next up, my brother was always helping me when I was going to high school. He also sends money for me and Winsome every month, end of time. I also remember how overprotective he was of me. He told mama on me when I was walking with a boy from church. When he was at the gate, he told him to call me. Instead, Garnett went to call mama and she carried me out there to the boy and gave him a proper cussing, laugh out loud. Overall, he is the best brother a little sister could have. I love him so very much. Happy birthday to my dearest brother. Love you and miss you a lot. I'm so very sorry we all can't be together. Enjoy to the max. You deserve the very best. Love you lots. And that's from my auntie, my dad's younger sister, Angela Reid Solomon. Thank you for that, Auntie Angie. I haven't seen Auntie Angie in so long. Last time I saw Auntie Angie was when we visited Jamaica, I think maybe about 4 years ago or so. And before that, I haven't seen her in a good maybe 15 years or so at Mama's funeral. But good to hear from you, Angie. This is outside our old house on East 51st Street. And that purple outfit we got from Bobby's. And there, as always, my lovely mother. And my dad would always love to dress up in his suits, and he loves to do that pose as well. Next up, Gav told me about Mr. Reid's unwavering commitment to his job and his craft, particularly during this COVID-19. Gav and I talked about safety precautions and his talks with his dad. Mr. Reid is steadfast in his understanding of the risk to his health, but knew that his business needed him. More importantly, he was confident in his physical fitness to handle the job. Very beast mode. I am fortunate to learn about the qualities of Mr. Reid because I have enjoyed a great professional relationship with his son, where we have changed lives of New York City youth through teamwork, commitment, and integrity. Those are your lessons of love. Happy birthday, brother. It would be an honor to meet you someday. And that is from my colleague, Steve Colavito. Together, me and Steve have created hundreds of internship opportunities for the youth in the 5 boroughs of New York City. And thank you for taking the time out to share your kind words with my dad, Steve. Next up, I remember you living at Bay Road, Little London, Westmoreland in the 1970s, riding your bicycle as you were teaching at the secondary school. I remember you also taught Indian dance to kids in a family down the road. And that is from Dennis Satu, a neighbor from Jamaica. Thank you, Dennis. Next up, I know my Garnett from Mitchelltown Primary School. Congratulations to both of your sons. Thank you for that, Millicent Brown, one of my dad's past neighbors from Jamaica. Again, my dad with a dignitary. You may recognize this face. This is PJ Patterson. And as always, my father, he treats the great politicians as well as the common civilians alike. And that's the kind of dad my father is. Next up, we have a picture of my dad with Yvonne going to church together. I love that picture. And we see that the circle of life continues. I wish you a very happy birthday. I remember visiting Jamaica and going to the school where you worked. You are always very proud to show me off and show off a bit yourself. Glad you are a part of your grandchildren's lives. They love you very much. And that is from my brother, Wazim Reid, my dad's firstborn son. Thank you for that, Waz. I appreciate your time. You are very pleasant to be around and a welcoming individual. Mr. Reid, you are always inviting and approachable, very kind-hearted and an excellent father. And this comes from Zakina Powell, our neighbor from Jamaica and my childhood friend. Thank you for that, Zakina. I remember Zakina used to always slap me on my butt back in primary school. Zakina, very, very good to keep in touch with you. Thank you for your kind words. Next up, happy birthday, Mr. Reid. You have worked your entire life to make sure your family is provided for. The relationship between Mr. Reid and Nazir is amazing. They have an unbreakable bond. The love between the two is immense. They will do anything for each other. Mr. Reid has raised a gentleman who lives by the same work ethic. Wishing you a happy birthday and many more blessings. Thank you so much for that, Jade Sanchez. Next up, happy birthday to you, Mr. Reid, and may God allow you to see many, many, many more birthdays like this. Respect every time. And that comes from Stacy Benjamin, who was our neighbor in Brooklyn, New York, and also one of my childhood friends when I lived on East 51st. And here we have all 7 Reid kids. I like to call them the Magnificent Seven, born to Rose Reid and Roydell Reid, the Magnificent Seven. My dad made a trip to Brooklyn to visit me at Wingate High School when I graduated in 2004. And here he is showing his support to me once I attained my high school diploma. And you may notice this guitar picture, Hard Rock Cafe. My dad loves driving past this area. He always takes me by there whenever I visit him as well. This comes from Janet Barrett, one of our friends on Facebook. Garnett was so nice and kind-hearted to my mom. I remembered him addressing my mom as Auntie Lucille. I've known Garnett from I was a little girl in my district in Mitchelltown, Clarendon, Jamaica. Thank you so much for that, Janet. Janet posts. Janet is just one of the most beautiful people I've ever met, and thank you for taking the time out to write those kind words, Janet. Next up, Garnett, I pray that God will continue to bless you abundantly with good health and strength and to continue to be a light onto your path. I really like the good vibes and energy you always carry with you. It's never a dull moment around you. Continue to encourage and uplift the broken. Thank you for that, Trisha Brown, who is one of our family members. Another picture with my dad and his wife, Yvonne. They're in Florida. And this is my dad fishing. I went fishing for the first time last year, thanks to my dad. We didn't catch anything. We didn't even know how to throw out the fishing line into the water. We kept going like this and the line wouldn't go anywhere, but we had such a great time. We didn't see any fish, but we did see an alligator though. It didn't attack us, but at least we got to see something interesting while we were there. So my dad doesn't know that I took this picture. So he came to visit my apartment in Queens, and we went to go see my Auntie Bev in the Bronx. My dad is known everywhere he goes. We were just driving in the Bronx. We were taking a walk in one of the streets in the Bronx, and then out of nowhere, somebody said, "Reid, yo, brethren." And then we look, and turns out somebody from the Bronx knows my dad. What are the chances? My dad didn't announce to anybody he was in the neighborhood. He just came from Florida. We went to the Bronx, and would you have it? People in the Bronx knows him. Anywhere my dad goes, he's known. He's like the mayor wherever he goes. This is my dad with his first car that he got in America, his Toyota Corolla, which he still has. And my dad has his uniform on when he used to work at Discount Auto Parts. My dad was a customer service rep there. He worked hard. He got promoted. And like I said, my dad, he took any opportunity that came his way. No job was too small for him, no job too big for him. He took that job, he did the best to his ability, he prospered while he was there. And these were the things, my dad may not know it, but these were the kind of things that as a young man growing up, I noticed this work ethic And he's instilled that work ethic into me. And I like to believe that I've been instilling this same no nonsense, no excuse work ethic into the youth that we serve throughout New York City as well. Pat Marang says, best regards, Reedy. Chris Edwards, a former co-worker, wishing you a happy Earth Strong General. I recall always having a good laughter as we would stroll the terminals at Fort Lauderdale Airport, FLL. All the best as you celebrate another birthday. Next up, we have Caroline Powell, who grew up with Auntie Edith Wallace. My memories of Uncle Garnett was always one of fun and humor. He never ceased to make people laugh and have a good time whenever he was around. He was always supporting me and giving me the best guidance, always looking out for my best interests during my childhood. He is always filled with energy and life to take on any and everything that came his way. Never a dull moment when you are around him. You have always been a blessing to our family. Having you around brings delight to our hearts. Thank you for sharing your love. I wish you a wonderful new chapter ahead. Next up, Pamela Williams, our neighbor from Jamaica, former co-worker of my dad and also business partner with my dad. We were living in Lioneltown housing scheme as neighbors, and we were teachers, colleagues, teaching at neighboring schools. Have a happy and enjoyable birthday. Wishing you many, many more happy, healthy, and prosperous ones. Enjoy yourself to the max. It is your day. Next up, we have my dad with famous New York Giants quarterback, Phil Simms, Super Bowl champion. And as I say, when you work as a public figure as my dad, you get to meet a lot of famous people. And my dad has had the privilege of serving so many athletes and so many celebrities alike. Reid, happy birthday. You always bring the life to the party and first one to open the dance floor, making everyone feel comfortable to dance. Keep dancing, keep smiling. We love you. And that comes from Bobby, Nicole, Zaire Jr., Alyssa, Alexis, and Zara. Thank you guys for that. This is from our extended family there in Florida. Garnett, how are you? It's been over 30 years. We have not seen each other, and I would really like to see you. I remember those days we sat down and talked sports. You were a flashy guy, a family man. Little Nazir was running around your feet, and now he is a man. Happy birthday, my friend. God bless you, and have a great one. And that comes from Lizan Rowe, our neighbor from Jamaica. And Mr. Rowe, it's so good to have you on my Facebook. I remember the childhood days when you used to come by the house. Good to reconnect with you. This is one of the vintage classic pictures of my dad with some of his brethren back home. I remember Garnett volunteering to play Indian music at different times. He's always concerned about my welfare on and off the job. He's always calling to check up on my family and myself. And that comes from Emmanuel Levi, one of our good family friends. And a lot of you may realize too, I may Facebook message you or WhatsApp message you or just text you out of nowhere, even though I don't really have much to talk about. I feel like I got that from my dad also, that I love to just check up on my friends, my co-workers, my family members. And thank you so much for that, Manny, for leaving these kind words for my dad. When my dad came to visit me, we had an opportunity to go to Manhattan. And here you can see my dad at the 9/11 memorial. This is something that he wanted to visit while he was up here to pay his respects. Next up, it's a pleasure knowing you as a friend, Garnett. Life is meaningful because of the people who we meet and value in our lives. You are always willing to lend a helping hand and advice whenever called upon, and you are sincere about it. Maybe not one of many words, but one who is real. I wish you all the best for your birthday and trust in God for your continued good health and many more happy birthdays. God bless you, brother. And that comes from Tony Layden, a family friend from Jamaica. And Tony, you are wrong about one thing. My dad is not a man of few words. my dad will talk you to death. So I think you're mistaken about that one right there. Next up, happy birthday, my friend. Remembering the good days at Watsonton and Bustamante. Raising Nazir was fun and a blessing. God bless you and abundance of good wishes. Congratulations. And that is from Carmelita Patterson, colleague and friend. Thank you for that, Miss P. Anytime we go to Jamaica, Miss P, the former principal of Watsonton Primary, she looks after us. She gives us food and home, and we don't have to pay for any hotel because Miss P provides for us. Thank you for that, Miss P. Miss P has been such a good family friend to us over the years. Thank you for that. Next up, thank you, Mr. Reid, for co-creating such a beautiful human being. Your son speaks volumes about the man you are. Have a very blessed and bountiful birthday. I hope you have a phenomenal year. Continued blessings. Sending lots of love and blessings to you. And that comes from Dominique Cole, my former co-worker when we were at Grant Associates together. Dami, thank you for taking the time out to wish my dad a happy birthday. Now, next up, we have this picture of me and my dad at this huge ranch in Florida. And I've never really cared for horse riding. As a matter of fact, back in, I think it was 1995 when Christopher Reeves, I remember when he injured himself horseback riding. And I grew up liking Superman and Christopher Reeves. And I wasn't too fond of horseback riding. But my father said to me, Nazir, next time you come to Florida, we need to go horseback riding. So I reluctantly went ahead and I did it because I wasn't doing anything anyway. I was just staying at home watching TV. And I'm telling you, when I went horseback riding, it was one of the most exhilarating experiences I've ever had. I could go horseback riding all day and not get bored. And my dad introduced me to that. We had such a fun time. I got my horse to run. My dad can't get his horse to run. And this picture is actually the second time we went horseback riding. And he always complains that um, they give him an old or lazy horse. And I'm like, Dad, it's not the horse, it's you. You need to take control over the horse. But we always have lots of fun whenever we go on the ranch. And I'm telling you, thanks for introducing me to that, Dad. And the next thing is my dad loves Westerns. My dad loves Gunsmoke and Bonanza and the spaghetti Westerns with Clint Eastwood. And as some of you may know, I'm into that stuff as well. I love Westerns. I'm an old soul. I love the old time shows. I love Little House on the Prairie. I love those kind of TV shows and movies. And to be introduced to horseback riding is just something that I had lots and lots of fun with. So thanks for that, Dad. Garnett, you have made a lot of sacrifices while teaching in Jamaica to make sure I attended school. For the 5 years of my secondary education, you were the one who made sure I had lunch money and bus fare. You never missed a day for that period of time. I look forward for that $20 per month. I want to express my gratitude today on this year's special day for helping me on my education journey. I have experienced your kindness in a remarkable way. I will forever be grateful. Happy birthday, big brother. May you continue to enjoy the fruits of your labor and reap the harvest from the seeds you have sown. Enough blessings win. And that is from my dad's younger sister, my Auntie Winsome. Thank you for that, Auntie Winsome. And this picture of me and Auntie Winsome is in the Bronx after Uncle Austin passed away. And I got to see Auntie Winsome one more time in Queens when she came for a visit and stayed for a little while. Thank you for that, Auntie Winsome. Always good to hear from you. And many of you, this is the picture you may associate my dad with. And I know my aunties, they hate this picture, especially you, Auntie Dell, and you, Auntie Bev. You hate this picture, but my dad loves this picture. It's still the Facebook profile picture he uses. My dad is never going to change that picture. He has this picture in our old house in Jamaica. As soon as you open up the door, it would be the first thing that you see. And my dad is never going to change this picture, but this is forever marked in my mind, the picture that I associate with my dad. This is from Jack Johnson, former boxer. Dad, he says, hope all is well. Give me a call. You need to call Jack Johnson, famous boxer. We have another picture of my dad right there posing in our house in Lionel Town, Hibiscus Way, Jamaica. Next up, hey Reid, congratulations on reaching a milestone in your life. It has been wonderful knowing you and working with you. You're a hard worker and you keep striving for higher ideals. Your personality is unique and no one can forget. So I want to wish you God's richest blessings on your birthday. Stay safe and never change. And that comes from Wayne McFarlane from Ear, Jamaica, one of my dad's former co-workers. You may also notice this picture on my dad's Facebook a lot. My dad loves the Husse Festival. He loves to play the drums. And this is one of the pictures capturing him in all his glory. Next up, happy birthday to you, Mr. Reid. I wish you many more to come. You have earned it. I have known you for over 45 years while you were teaching in Highgate, St. Mary, Jamaica. And we met again at Fort Lauderdale Airport while you were working for Air Jamaica Airlines. At the closing of the airline, you took your experience to Broward County government, where you have been awarded many awards from the city. You are still working at the airport and delivering excellent service to the customers you meet from around the world. You are a nice person. I was blessed to meet you. Keep up the good work. Happy birthday. God bless you. And that comes from longtime family friend, Spencer Morrison. Thank you for that, Mr. Morrison. You are a brilliant man. I grew up with your son, Gav, and you always welcome me in your home. We have so many memories growing up together, and he always taught me something new daily. I love the whole Reid family. Thank you for that, Tanya Joseph. I've known Tanya from I was a little boy. Tanya was one of my first friends ever in America. I've been friends with Tanya for 25 years. We don't talk all the time. We don't talk every day, but she's like a sister to me. And I thank you for that, Tanya, for taking a few moments out to share your thoughts with my dad. I've known Garnett from I was a little girl. Garnett was like a part of our family. He's very jovial and full of laughter. Also, I remember whenever we would see him coming down the block, we would say, it's time for comedy night. And that comes from Jackie Jackson Lawrenson, our good family friend. I've known Jackie from I was a kid, reconnected with her the other day in Long Island, and she's on my Facebook now. And that's my dad right there, always dancing. And where is that, Jackie? I think that's in the back of the house in Lioneltown, right? I remember I used to go there and dance myself. Thank you for that, Jackie. Whoa, my voice is getting tired and my back is starting to hurt me. So Dad, this just goes to show you the amount of friends and family members and co-workers and people in your life that you've had such a great impact on. Losing my voice. All right, next up we have James Evans, who's a former student. Mr. Reid, you're one of the best teachers, friends, and neighbors that anyone could ever have. That's coming from your former student, James Evans. Thank you for that, James. Garnett Reid is a family man of integrity, loves his culture. That comes from Cecile, our neighbor from Mitchelltown, Clarendon, Jamaica. We have another picture of my dad here, dad with his old boombox. I don't know what became of that boombox, but I remember seeing that boombox. We used to have it back in Lioneltown as well, that my dad would always play the songs on the radio on. Reid, you have reached another milestone in your life. God has blessed you. Hooray, hooray, happy, happy birthday. I remember at the airport, you were such a great person in helping me. Sometimes it's so annoying as you were always in a rush. Come, it's my lunch break. Give me the passport. Where are the bags? Give me them on. But I was happy because I didn't have to go in the line. Thank you. Reid, please enjoy yourself. You have worked hard. You have helped so many of us through that airport. Now, as you celebrate your birthday, slow down, choose to be happy, enjoy the sunshine and the rain. God bless. Happy, happy birthday. Cheers, my friend. And that comes from Marcia Williams. Thank you for that, Marcia. We have a picture here of my dad with George and Max when he came to visit us in New York. There are so many things I would like to share with everyone about my brother. I don't know where to begin, but I will say Garnett is a brother who everyone would be very glad to have as a brother. He is one of a kind. in every way. I would not trade him for anyone. I will never forget when he walked me down the aisle when I got married. I love you very much. And that comes from my dad's younger sister, Beverly Newland, my auntie. Thank you for that, Auntie Bev. And I need to pay you a visit. I haven't seen you in a while. And Dad, we were considering doing this get together outside Auntie Bev's house. You know, that's what we had planned. But, you know, this COVID business just mash up everything. But hopefully you can still get a sense of our thoughts, our feelings, our love towards you. And actually, as I say that, this is actually a picture outside Auntie Bev's house. Here I am with my dad, and we're also with Danny and Troy and Uncle Lester. And we look like we're from a mafioso family over here. I love this picture. Gav speaks volumes about you and hold you to the highest regard. Your son is a reflection of you. And for that, my sons and all the kids in our community, thank you. And thank you for that, Tamar Jax, who is my childhood friend from Wingate High School. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out to add your contributions to letting my dad know your kind thoughts towards him. Thank you so much. You impressed me with your dancing skills at my wedding. I really appreciated it. Happy birthday to the Good Shepherd, inside joke. I don't know what that inside joke is, but thank you for that, Julian Wilson, who is my extended cousin, my dad's nephew-in-law. There he is with Julian, dressed up for the wedding. And as many of you know, my dad, he spent some years working at Air Jamaica, and here he is with his team. He always talks about his team members. He loves you guys very much. And if you are into Jamaican comedy, you recognize this man right here, none other than Oliver. And as I say, my dad has met so many famous celebrities in his role there at the airport. Uncle Garnett is my most interesting and extraordinary uncle. He goes above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to his work, friends, and family. I remember one time when my wife and I visited Florida. He was very hospitable to us. He offered us to stay at his home. He helped us through the airport checkpoints, and he always checked up on us to ensure we were okay. He is a very thoughtful and caring person. He always wants to stay in touch with his family and friends. He has a good heart. He is very knowledgeable about the ways of the world and knows a lot of people. When I need some cheering up, I just go on Facebook and watch him dance. I'm truly grateful to Uncle Garnett for the good example he set being a good father, uncle, and friend. And that is from one of my favorite cousins, Robert Reid, otherwise known as Dave. And this picture is of Dave, Sheena, and my dad at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Thank you for that so much, Dave. And my dad rocking his 70s outfit with the bell-bottom pants and the polyester shirt and the big afro. Another picture of my dad with his co-workers at Air Jamaica. Garnett has been my little brother for a long time. As we were very young growing up, he was a little pain and very annoying. He was always getting in my stuff, reading my letters and diary, and telling daddy on me. Until I had a big surprise for him. It was in shorthand. He loved sugar, always eating out the sugar. His other favorite food was dumpling. He couldn't get enough. As we grew older, we became great friends. He is very dependable, hardworking, popular, and a great dancer. He is very trusting and a man of his word. Happy birthday to an amazing brother who has the world's greatest sister. I wish you a joyful day full of love and laughter. And that comes from Auntie Del, my dad's oldest sister. And there, I love this picture with my dad and Auntie Del. And thank you so much, Auntie Del, for those kind words. When school was over at PS 268 and we would pick up our children, Garnett and I would always talk. He would talk about encouraging things and also let me meet his son's mother, who is now one of my best friends. He is a very good person to know and to have as a friend. And that comes from Donna Harvey. Thank you for that, Donna. My dad met Donna at a parent-teacher meeting one night back in 1995, 1996. And even though Donna originally was a friend with my dad, it was through that relationship that my mother met Donna, and my mom and Donna has been friends ever since. And Donna, Tanya, these are just such great ladies, such great friends. Thank you. Thank you for that, Donna. And here we have my dad with Keisha, who I have not met in person, but she's been a great family member, one of my cousins from Canada. You have some good family history stories. You're very kind. You will go the extra mile for your family where necessary. Thank you for that, Keisha Johnson, our cousin in Canada. Next up, one of our great family friends, Mr. Hendricks. Garnett and I grew up in Mitchelltown, Clarendon. We were friends since kindergarten. Garnett is always helpful. There were kids that were slow in class, and he was always willing to help them get up to speed. We always have different views, but Garnett will not get mad for long. When it comes to cricket, he knows it all. To him, Rohan Kanahi was the best batsman in the world. As a friend, he is someone you can depend on. He's never too busy to have a conversation. At the airport where he works, everyone knows Reid. He will build a conversation out of nothing. Give him the floor and it will talk you to death. Thanks for that, Hendricks. Hendricks is one of my favorite friends of my dad. And I don't know if they know that I took this picture of them outside our house in Florida, but I love when Hendricks comes by. Now, this is a picture of my dad when he was 24 years old, working on one of the machines. My dad used to do metal work, and this was CTE, Career and Technical Education, before CTE existed. And little does my dad know that I myself would become involved in the technical trades myself. And I've been doing that for the past 7 years with Grant Associates and with the New York City Department of Education. So technical education, vocational education, it was always flowing through my blood this whole time. And one of my dad's favorite pictures, and my dad loves the West Indian island man pose with the afro in the back of a car. Because of our age difference, we didn't have much time together. But if it's one thing I commend you for, is that you took care of mama and daddy up to the time of their departure. They never run short, and you always answered to their call. You would drink the most Pepsi, but never buy a round. Laugh out loud. You're very mean when it comes to that. Laugh out loud. Happy birthday, Garnett, and many more years to come. Long life and prosperity. God bless. And that comes from Hamlet Reid, the youngest of the Magnificent Seven. And I'm so glad I got to hear from Hamlet. It was not easy getting in touch with him all the way in Jamaica, but so glad for that. This is one of my very, very favorite pictures. One of the first places that my dad took me to when we first came to America was to the Bronx Zoo. And I remember back then my dad would pick me up and put me on top of that rhinoceros. And since then, they put up a sign that says, "Do not climb." And I guarantee you, there is nowhere, anywhere you will find another picture of somebody on top of that rhinoceros. I went on top of that rhino 20 years later with my dad, and we got to reproduce this picture. We have 150 likes, one of the best liked pictures on Facebook, and it was such a privilege to relive this memory with my dad. This is when me and my dad went to Ocho Rios, and we see my dad put on the life vest. He went canoeing. I didn't really want to do the canoeing thing, but that was my graduation present. After I finished Brooklyn College, he put me in an all expense paid, all inclusive resort at Ocho Rios. And thank you for those memories, Dad, back in Ocho Rios. Thank you so much for those. Brother Garnett, I remember those days back home. We would sit in the back there talking. We would just hear the voice, Lord coming down the block. Auntie Murdy, Uncle Ben, Derek. And we would laugh. Here Garnett coming down, man. We would look, and it's Nazir and Garnett on the bike. I remember those good old days, Brother Garnett. Stay strong, my brother. Happy birthday. I hope you live to see many more. God bless. Take care. That comes from Derek Murdy, longtime friend. Derek, one of my, was like a cousin to us. And Right here, we had an opportunity to take a great picture there in Long Island with Auntie Murdy and Derek and the rest of the Murdy family. Thank you for that. Reedy, this is Rose. I met you through my cousin, Mrs. Patterson. When she comes to Florida, I enjoy your visit. Every time you come to visit her, you make me laugh because you always have something funny to say. You call me all the time and always giving me jokes. Thank you. Today is your birthday. I wish you all the best and pray the Lord continue to bless you for many, many years. God bless my friend. And that comes from Rose Mayer. Thank you for that. Garnett Reid, third in line of 7 siblings, is very special. After many years, he found out he was the gem in the family. Laugh out loud. Growing up, being the first, I was like a second father in the house. I had a responsible job. Everything our siblings did wrong, I had to be accountable for it. As a child, he was amusing and most times very mischievous. He does everything fast, talk fast, eat fast, work fast, move fast. We even call him Duracell. We used to have fun together, bathing in gullies, shooting birds, sailing kites, playing gigs and playing cricket, looking for firewood and looking after animals, especially cows. There was an occasion while feeding cows on the estate land, he and some others were found. The ranger took them in. They were eating sugar cane, which was illegal. The farm manager told our father that the boys do more damage than the cows. And you know what happened after that? Discipline. We had an argument one morning before going to school who was supposed to wash the dishes. Mama told the girls to leave them, and by the time we finished, we were late for school. We skipped school that morning and went by a nearby gully and bathed all morning. And when it was lunchtime, we joined in with the group, got home, and the news came out. Dell told mom that we were not in school today, so mother was vexed that afternoon. And of course, you know what happened after that? Discipline again. As we become men and women, having families, having all those differences, living far and near, we kept in touch with each other. He wants to know about everyone, but tells little of himself. Laugh out loud. Helpful in all ways, especially in our traveling, but very tight when it comes to money. Laugh out loud. Happy birthday, my brother. 70, and if by strength another 10 years are awaiting you. Many more years to come, long life, good health, and prosperity. May the Lord bless you and keep you until we keep again. And those words come from my uncle, Robert Reid, the firstborn of the Magnificent Seven. And he quoted from the book of Psalms. And Uncle Robert is so sharp with the scriptures. I had no idea. Thank you so much for that, Uncle Robert. That is one of the best written, best thought out contributions that we have. Thank you for that. Here we have a picture with me, my older brother Wazim, and my dad. I think this is in Cockburn Pen, if I'm not mistaken. When we were kids, we paid Wazim and his family a visit during that time. Uncle Garnett is always kind and helpful. He is always there for the major life events in my life. Cheers to many more memories. And that comes from one of my favorite cousins, Cherie Wilson. And there we have Cherie with her daughter and my dad outside FLL. Thank you for that, cuz. My dad, who was a football player before, there with his number 42 jersey. And my dad, we have a lot of pictures with me and my dad in our acid wash jeans that he still wears to this day. That's outside our garden on Hibiscus Way in Landelltown, Jamaica. One of my dad's favorite pictures where he's overlooking the FLL runway there in Florida. And some of you may notice that I have a picture where I'm doing a handstand outside in the fields. And I got that idea from my dad, who's also doing a handstand himself right here. This is my dad, who is a great public speaker. I like to think that I inherited those genes from him. And my dad is here giving his well wishes to Cherie and Julian when they got married in the Bronx. A special birthday wish to my dear friend Reedy. I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you and to say thanks for taking me under your wings, showing me the ropes, and always looking out for me when I started working with Air Jamaica. You even referred to me as your work daughter. Very special. And we have remained in close contact since. I wish for you a very happy birthday and may God's richest blessings be with you and grant you great health and prosperity. May you live to see many more wonderful birthdays. Enjoy your day, stay well, and be safe. Sending enough love and blessings your way. Happy birthday, Reedy. And that comes from Karen Peck, former co-worker at Air Jamaica and a close friend of my dad. And I mentioned earlier that my dad has been recognized a number of times for his unparalleled customer service. And here is just one of many pictures in which he's receiving an award from his job there at the airport. Reid has a wonderful personality, always happy and in a good mood, always going above and beyond to help everyone he comes across. He is truly one in a million. He is that type of person, and I consider myself truly blessed to have crossed paths with him in this life. Wishing Garnett a happy and wonderful birthday and all the happiness in the world. Thank you for that, Manny Chavez from Fort Lauderdale Airport. And this is a picture of my dad with his Bruce Lee shirt. This is for Picture Day, where the photography club took a picture of him and put it in their yearbook. As I mentioned earlier, my dad had a career in education, and the Jamaican Teachers Association and the Ministry of Education awarded him for his 21 years of outstanding teaching service in high, secondary, and technical education from 1975 to 1996. To teach is to touch the minds of many. Next up, we have Clayton Solomon. Have an awesome birthday. Wishing you long life and good health and prosperity. That comes from Clayton Solomon, my dad's nephew and my first cousin. This is a picture of my dad and I on my mom's porch in Brooklyn on Linden Boulevard when he came to pay me a visit. And you notice there he is in his work outfit with his IDs hanging. He walks around every year with his ID. And my dad with the famous power to the people symbol. You may notice that I've emulated that picture on my Facebook page. Another famous picture of me and my dad. This is when we were in St. Mary. And there's a picture of my dad dancing in all of his glory. Enjoy. All of these dance moves my dad used to teach me when I was a kid in Jamaica. In the background is Derek, and we have the Murder family. This was when we went to Long Island. My dad stayed with me for a week, and we spent an evening with the Murder family in Long Island. thought he was asking for a high five for a second. You see how my dad is shaking those hips? And you have a lot of elderly people, if they try those moves, they're gonna end up in the hospital. My dad has been in a number of dance competitions, and some of them were even televised. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to enter some competitions myself. And we used to be in the back of Auntie Murdy's house, and my dad would teach me these moves to get ready for the competition. And we used to have neighbors that would come over to Auntie Murdy as well to try to see who would dance better. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna paste a video. I'm gonna just cut and paste this video on my own Facebook page. Yep, that's my dad. All right, and last but not least is my own contribution. What I did was I designed a plaque for my dad, this huge plaque. And Dad, maybe at some point, I really would like you to take the plaque out of the plastic, because my dad took the plaque and he hung it up with the plastic still over it. That's the kind of weird stuff my dad does. But Dad, please take your plaque out of the plastic. But this award is presented to Garnett Reid in recognition of his unparalleled competence in all areas of fatherhood. On behalf of all family, friends, co-workers, and well-wishers, we do hereby declare Mr. Reid to be an honorable husband, a benevolent brother, an intelligent instructor, a noble neighbor, a faithful friend, a prudent provider, a wonderful worker, and a fantastic father. And that is presented by me, your son, Gavaska Nazir Reid, on this 20th day of August in the year for our Lord 2020. May I continue your legacy on this earth, and may God keep your soul in this life and in the life to come. So that is it for today, Dad. And I would hope that you enjoyed this presentation. And I would like to give an extended thanks to everybody who took the time out to contribute to the Kudo board, who took the time out to share your thoughts and compliments and comments with my dad. And even though this is a big milestone for you, and as Uncle Robert said, he quoted that verse from Psalms that says, God appointed unto man 70 years. You've reached there, Dad, but hopefully you will live to see many, many, many more years to come. And I'm hoping that I can continue that legacy, and I hope that I can fill those shoes that you've left behind. Happy birthday to you, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you have done. And I wish you all the best in the years that you have ahead of you. And I just ask that you would give your life over to God, and hopefully that whether your time to go, whether it's something coming soon or something that is very far ahead, just make sure that your life is right with God. And hopefully we can spend eternity together, me, you, the rest of our family, the rest of our friends, the rest of our colleagues, the rest of our people in our network together there in heaven. So, Dad, thank you for everything. And thank you, everyone, for joining me today. And, Dad, I'll talk to you soon. Take care. God bless you.